Hey guys, and welcome back to the Heroes of the Storm Road to BlizzCon North American Open. We had a little bit of a break there. I hope you guys were able to get a snack, get a drink, get ready, because we have another best of 3 series for you, and it will be our second to last one.
Yeah, this is the round of 32. We're going to be moving into the round of 16 after that, and once we get to the round of 8, that's where we stop, and you have to wait till next weekend.
Exactly right. And another good point is that it is the round of 32, which means everyone at this point is going home with prizes, as there is payouts all the way to the round of 32. So that's going to be really cool as well. But of course, these teams want to keep climbing and keep getting more prizes, as well as a chance to go to the America's Championship and prove themselves, maybe even get to go to BlizzCon.
That would be pretty sweet. Get to take home lots of Skrilla. And also some pride as the first champion of Heroes of the Storm. This is the first time we've had an official World Championship.
It is indeed. And these guys are ready to start up the draft. They're ready to try to prove themselves. So we're going to hop over to that. It looks like we will be on Tomb of the Spider Queen, which already makes me a little concerned for Banana Cabana, as 2ARC might be looking for that Zero Warrior composition again.
They sure do love their Zero Warrior comp, and they're starting it out strong with a Jaina pick. She's going to do lots of damage for them. But the answer is Kael'thas and Sylvanas from Banana Cabana, so certainly not lacking in damage and usefulness on this map.
Yeah, and 2ARC instead are really wanting to get a Johanna. They've also banned out the Azmodan, so they want Johanna, but they didn't want Banana Cabana to get the quick Johanna Azmodan. So I like that. Instead, they're going to prioritize Kael'thas and Sylvanas, which means 2ARC could get the warrior, the exact warrior they wanted. So they have Johanna, they have Jaina, they'll have one more pick here before we go into the bans. It could be a support, it could be some more damage as well. I think either one would bode really well for them, as if they got a support, they'd really make sure that Banana Cabana couldn't really keep anything from them. They would be really set up with every single thing that they needed. It looks like it will be a support, but more of a half support, as Tyrande also has the potential for a lot of damage.
Yeah, she certainly has utility that goes beyond her classification in terms of being a support that can also deal quite a bit of damage and do a lot of crowd control. So she is kind of one of those. I was corrected in chat, and I think this is perhaps valid to say not just a Sapassin, but almost a specialist in a lot of ways. So I'm still going to stick to my Sapassin, but you're right. Her utility is just so varied that's why we call her a little more than a support. Banana Cabana is going to answer with something that has not yet populated on my screen. Oh, it is going to be the Malfurion ban for their second ban, and that's going to be followed up with a Tassadar ban from 2ARC Gaming. So they do not want to let one of the Sapassins fall into the hands of Banana Cabana.
Yeah, they want to be really sustainable without Banana Cabana being able to do the same thing to try to counter. So we might see Banana Cabana try to counter with just a lot of damage, trying to melt one of the members of 2ARC Gaming down before that double support can really continue to sustain. They also might look to do a double warrior, and then instead just be really in the face and kind of sustain through that way by being really tanky. But we'll have to see what they choose to do here. They could also go with 2 full supports. Maybe they take up Rhaegar and Uther here and force 2ARC to choose between Brightwing and Lily, neither of which we've seen teams really wanting to play. But it does look like Banana Cabana would rather make sure they have their warrior of choice. They're going to get Muradin here as one of their next 2 picks.
Muradin, well known for being able to take lots of hits as well as engage and disengage very well with his dwarf toss. So we never look at a composition and say, why would you pick Muradin here? He's just a really solid tank. And especially Johanna being on the other side, you really need someone who has a lot of survivability to match up to her. So not a surprise. And they're actually going to continue to build that survivability by adding Uther to the mix, which is a great choice, because I think 2ARC is now going to be in a bind to figure out which healer they're going to use. Well, they're very likely going to use Rhaegar, but it's going to be chosen for them, basically, unless they want to dip into the Brightwing Lily, as you mentioned.
Yeah, I don't know that we'll see them doing that. I think it'll probably be Chubsy playing that Rhaegar, but I did want to mention that Uther Muradin is such a great composition together, as there's a lot of stuns there, there's also a lot of tankiness, and there is the Rhaegar. So one more pick for 2ARC. It will be a damage most likely of some kind. I guess we could go with the double support, double warrior composition, and then just focus on really making sure that Jaina is constantly being kept alive and constantly being kept heroes off of. But I don't just think that'll be the case. Maybe we'll see another Falstad, as Suki seemed very comfortable on him.
The Falstad play was so on point last game. Would not be surprised to see that added to the mix. But I think you're right. It's definitely going to be damage. They don't have a melee assassin, and I know that they love to play with those. So it could be that we maybe see somebody like the Butcher, maybe. But I feel like, from what I know of their style, I feel like Falstad is the one that's going to be picked here.
Yeah, I mean, there's still a Zagara available, too. Nobody has picked her up, and she is fantastic on this battleground. And if they've banned Tassadar, maybe they could get Zagara and control the vision that way, as without Tassadar, it's going to be a lot of difficulty in cleaning up the creep. But no, they are going to actually go with Vala this time. And Banana Cabana now have one last pick of their own to try to counter whatever 2-arc has. So they've got one warrior, but a very strong front line, and that Uther is also a good front line person, even though he does have, he is classified as a support. He's pretty tanky. He's a paladin. He's got a lot of armor, so we could see them choosing to go for more damage here. Maybe they'll go for the Zagara themselves.
You know, that would not be a bad choice. It wouldn't give them kind of the burst damage that we're going to see coming out of 2-arc, but it would give them a lot of control, and especially combined with Sylvanas, a lot of lane presence and control over pushing. So I think that would be a great pick. I'm a little bit surprised to see Vanilla Vala being picked, although I think it's a solid choice. I mean, she's going to deal a lot of damage. She's going to be someone that you can count on to come in and make a difference in team fights. She certainly has utility in other places as well. So not a surprise, but they are not going to oblige us, Gilly. They're going to be team tankiness because Murden already has Uther as a counterpart for that front line, but Anubarak's going to add to it. So it's basically going to be the 3 big guys out in the front, Kael'thas in the back, throwing out damage, and Sylvanas out there somewhere pushing on something or helping to keep structures from firing upon them.
Yeah, so this is one way that you can deal with the sort of super sustain from the double support, is to have a sustain of your own, but in the form of just very healthy heroes, as they have Anubarak and Murden, both of which you have really good self-healing, especially if Anubarak goes with that beetle build that we most often see. He's got a very nice sustain from that. And then Uther will be there right behind everyone, be able to throw out a lot of burst heals. And you can pick up things that really help mitigate the fight too. Things like the Shrink Ray that we've seen used before. Things like the Protective Shield that we saw so on point in some of the last games. So we're going to see, sort of like you mentioned before, I can't remember exactly what you called it, but where you've got so clearly one team going for one thing and so clearly another team going for another. That's what we got here.
I don't think I named it yet. We'll have to come up with a food name because that's what we do in Heroes.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I'll ruminate on that. But yes, we do have a team that's very much so has one objective and another team that has another objective. And again, I will say, when I see that happen, most of the time, it's the burst damage composition that comes out on top, whatever their objective is. So we're really going to have to see Banana Cabana doing something that shows a lot of practice here, and I'm looking forward to seeing if they can pull it out.
You know, another thing I wanted to point out is that we haven't seen a lot of Kael'thas winning, I feel like, today.
Yeah,
I feel like it's been a
point.
lot of Jaina versus Kael'thas, and Jaina has reigned supreme, and I think part of that comes into the fact that Kael'thas is we've mentioned it a million times, late game oriented, right? And teams are really starting to pick up on this and are really adapting to that, saying, fine, be very late game oriented. In the meantime, we will destroy all of your structures, so by the time you get to 16, your core is exposed. And there's, I mean, no battleground more so where this becomes apparent than Tomb of the Spider Queen.
Yeah, Tomb of the Spider Queen is... I mean, I say it all the time, but I just like the way Blizzard talks about it, Knife Fight in a Closet. You just can't get any space. You're like on a road trip with all of your cousins and in-laws and everybody, and you're all in the same van, and if you move one way or the other, someone's gonna freaking bite your hand.
Yeah, that's always what happens with me and my cousins. Hand biting.
Obviously, everyone's cousins bite.
We're learning a lot about
Yeah.
Anna's family right now. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and introduce these teams, as I have no way to segue from that. We've got 2ARC in the blue with Furious D on Tyrande, Trader playing Jaina, Panucci on Johanna, Chubsy will be on Rhaegar. He's one that might bite your hand. And then Suki playing Vala.
And for Banana Cabana, who will be sporting bright red, that will be Murzik on Sylvanas, Prey on Anubarak, Wrath on Muradin, Hope on Uther, and Subnova on Kael'thas.
Must be a couple of Wraths in this game. It seems like a pretty common name here, so that makes a lot of sense.
Angry people.
We've seen a few, yeah, a few angry people here. All right, so we do see with the win from Sylvanas, so she is going to be still team fight oriented, even though she does have great push potential. So looking at trying to help out with the fights wherever possible. And we also have Rancor coming out of Vala, so auto attack focused. That's going to really come in handy with the Ranger's mark that Tyrande picked up, as she's going to be really focusing on those auto attacks and going to be doing a ton of damage with them.
Indeed she is. We will see that these turn-ins will be hotly contested points. So far, the team's looking to make sure they're soaking experience, but also staking their claim on the area that is in these lanes, because if one team managed to push a little bit further, it makes it easier for them to control these 2 turn-in points where the gems are going to be turned in.
Yeah, that is exactly right. And it always seems that a team who really starts to get a couple of turn-ins in a row maybe and really get those lanes pushed can then just from there continually control those turn-in points. And because of that, we see a lot of teams oftentimes focusing on vision providing talents, vision providing heroes. We've got, we actually don't really have those so far except for Tyrande. So Tyrande will be really nice boon to 2ARC in that she will be able to throw out those sentinels, be able to stop possible turn-ins with that, but also just be able to see if Banana Cabana is trying to turn in.
A lot of times that's why we even sometimes see sneaky or stealthy heroes like Zeratul on a map like this, because you can use yourself as a bit of a scouting drone and be in places where you're not expected and gain information that way. Kael'thas, unfortunately, is not sneaky or stealthy and is also squishy, so he finds himself caught out and will be the first blood for this game.
Yeah, and he did have a few gems his teammates were not able to pick up. That is one important thing to remember on this battleground, is if you do die, you will drop your gems. Your opponents can't pick them up. They can't use them against you, but they can guard them, and after a while, they will despawn. So it's up to your teammates to try to pick them up, but not die for them as well. And that also becomes an issue, especially in the psychology of the game. You start getting a lot of gems on your person, and then you don't want to lose them, so you find yourself not really engaging. Now, we do have an engagement in the middle with a Lunar Flare going down on Prey, and Anubarak will go down. It looks like Rhaegar also went down, though. He was already pretty low at the beginning of that. Great Gravity Lapse going in and throwing a ton of damage on Trader, and Venom will help secure that takedown. So I think it's maybe a 1 for 2 here in favor of Banana Cabana.
It's interesting, we're seeing Johanna come in and use her Condemn instead of to pull in, to actually pull heroes away from some of the squishies on her team, which was a great strategy, but unfortunately the reinforcements arrived and changed the shape of the battle to the point where 2ARC didn't come out as favorably as they thought they might.
Yeah, and another issue for 2ARC is that Suki is going to have to go back, so they're going to have to rotate someone down. Trader immediately comes down, but unfortunately Johanna is going to go down. So far Banana Cabana doing a really great job of rotating around, using all of the stuns that they do have to their advantage. They have a ton between Anubarak, Uther, and Muradin, and they're being able to catch people out. Now they've got a Gravity Lapse down on Jaina and Chubsy. Chubsy's going to try to keep Trader healed up. Trader's going to throw a little bit back, maybe be able to slow them down with her trait, and she will be able to survive.
With that takedown on Panucci at the top turn-in, you saw that Panucci actually had done a face check, as we call it, on that turn-in point, went through the vent and saw, to Johanna's surprise, that there were 4 members of Banana Cabana there waiting for her. She was not able to get out soon enough before she was taken down, so really showing how important that vision can be and how vacant it is in this game.
Oh man, Furious D taking so much damage. I don't know if Chubsy will be able to keep him alive, or if he'll be able to keep himself alive. A little heal went down, but a great Dwarf Toss from Wrath ensured that she would be taken down. So now we've got 2ARC on the back foot a little bit. Only slightly, though. Wrath is going to be able to be taken out, so that's going to help them try to catch back up. They really don't want to get too far behind in experience. And we're seeing how much these teams are valuing keeping these lanes pushed in their advantage. They're being willing to leave the other lanes, leave the experience soak a little bit, so that they can ensure that one lane doesn't get pushed too far out for their opponents.
We talked about how Banana Cabana is built for the push and built for, you know, the sustain. But it's interesting to note how well they've been able to perform in team fights and how they've been able to catch one member of 2Art Gaming out consistently. Doing it again here briefly with Panucci. They were able to take Panucci down earlier in that same manner. So interesting to see how they're going to be using these heroes in a way that kind of counteracts the burst damage of 2Art.
2Ark is going to be able to get the bottom giant, so that's going to help relieve some of the pressure on these turn-in points. 2Ark is really close to also getting a turn-in, so that's something that either Banana Cabana is going to have to decide to stop that or try to defend versus those giants. So either way, it's kind of a win-win for 2Ark. And now we're seeing 2Ark be able to turn in. Trader is up on top, putting in the last few gems needed to spawn the web weavers.
Those web weavers will be blue. That means that they will go for 2Ark. They're going to spawn in the lanes to the point where they have been pushed. And mostly across the map, that's going to be about in the middle of the lane. With the exception of the top lane, which has been pushed a little bit in favor of 2Ark, but may not remain so as Misscliks actually cleans things up there very well.
Well, remember, these web weavers are going to spawn where the lanes are currently pushed at, so thanks to those giants, the web weaver is going to come right up to this wall and start dealing damage on these structures. And because of that, we see some members of 2Ark here trying to help it along, trying to take down towers. It's often what we see with the first web weaver spawn, is just trying to get towers down and get a little bit ahead in terms of experience. Maybe pick up your heroic ability just slightly before your opponents and make something happen that way. But a great gravity lapse going down on Suki will ensure toward destruction. Now Wrath is out a little bit. Chubsy and Panucci trying to pick him up, but he is very tanky, that Muradin, and Chubsy's got to be careful as a Dwarf Toss is going to put him on the chase. He might be able to get him. A stun goes down and will make sure that both of them are taken out. Mutually assured destruction. Panucci going to walk away with 39 gems on one person.
The Condemn almost saved a life there, but the Dwarf Toss jumped out of the Condemn circumference, which was, very lucky for him.
Yeah, definitely. All right, well, we've got heroic abilities on both sides. I did want to really touch on the Anubarak build so far. Normally we see that Locust build, but we're seeing Locust Needles, so area damage there, as well as Bed of Barbs that's going to be doing some damage in a little bit of an area. So really focusing on the damage that Anubarak is going to be putting out on top of those stuns. So it makes a lot of sense as they've already got some really tankiness from Muradin, and instead they can kind of focus on the stuns, being able to lock somebody down and being able to deal a lot of damage. Now we have the web weavers along with the heroic abilities, but they will be spawning for Banana Cabana this time.
And we have 4 heroes for Banana Cabana right now in the mid. This is different than what we had for the web weavers before, where it was kind of 1 with each and then 3 in the bottom. They're really putting all of their energy into pushing with this web weaver in the middle. The idea being that the others in the lanes can take care of themselves.
Yeah, look at how fast Sylvanas and Kael'thas are taking out one of the towers. It's so fast, and a really great job of taking out the one that this web weaver would not be focusing on. So in that way, they can really try to ensure that they get both the towers in the lane. This one is so close to going down, but it looks like 2Ark for now is going to be able to protect it. And meanwhile, it looks like all the web weavers have been cleaned up. That was actually a really good defense from 2Ark, who really only lost it to that tower there in the mid, and now they're going back. Panucci's going to try to turn in as 46 now on Johanna.
That's more gems than you want to be carrying, but if it's got to be anybody, then Johanna's the one to do it. She can escape, she can sustain very well. So she's going to try to empty her pockets there. Wrath is the only one here to contest, and he's going to be able to try and interrupt that channel, but it's not going to be successful. She will get the turn in, and the web weavers will be spawning again for 2Ark.
While we have a second, maybe before a team fight, we do want to take a look at these heroic abilities. 2Ark did pick up Starfall, Strafe, Ancestral Healing, Blessed Shield, and the Water Elemental. But meanwhile, we have Banana Cabana picking up the Wailing Arrow, Web Blast, Avatar, Divine Shield, and Phoenix, and it looks like Kael'thas will go down, so no Phoenix there to put on top of the Starfall, which has gone down. And members of 2Ark are moving in toward here. This fort is already exposed. They want to be able to go after it and take it out. The Water Elemental is now taken out, though, but they're doing so much damage to it, I think it should go down.
Great placement on that Starfall from 2ARC means that Banana Cabana had to walk through it in order to retreat or risk running all the way around it, which would give them more time to take pot shots at them. So really good consciousness of positioning, and Banana Cabana knows it. They know they need to retreat.
Yeah, they would have really liked to have been able to put the Phoenix down, like I mentioned, in order to kind of zone 2ARC back, or at least make it a little bit more difficult for them, but it was not in the cards as Kael'thas did go down very fast. So now, with those forts being exposed thanks to the last Web Weaver phase, we've got the bottom one already down, the mid is down as well, and 2ARC is just distracting because up top, it's also taking damage, it's almost down as well, and will be very, very softened. We'll probably see them rotate up very soon and try to take that one out as well.
We do have level 13 for 2ARC, but almost level 13 for Banana Cabana, so both teams managing to keep the levels very similar. However, we do see that there are still 6 forts up on the side of 2ARC. Banana Cabana suffering from loss of structures.
Yeah, and this you mentioned this earlier, it becomes really difficult to try to get a turn in now. Divine Shield has to go down to save Anubarak, and Johanna is on the chase, as is Suki, throwing a ton of damage out with that strafe. Will be able to take out Sylvanas. A great Blizzard is going to make Subnova think twice about going back into that fight. He's going to safely sit in the back and throw out a couple of flame strikes. But this means that there is a lot of damage between these bruisers and the members of 2ARC doing damage here at the keep. It looks like they will be able to open up this avenue to go in with maybe some Web Weavers later on, or if they take a favorable engagement to start working on that keep.
Looks like they are going to go ahead and turn in what gems they have. Wouldn't be surprised to see them try to collect a few more, because they are going to be about something like 15 short or so. But they aren't taking other advantages. I thought that we might see them go for maybe the Siege Giants or the Bruisers on their side of the map, since we saw them fall back. But not a decisive move in that direction yet.
Their opponents have 75, 77, 78 gems on them. So if they can deter Banana Cabana from turning in long enough for them to get a turn in of their own, that would be huge for them. And they're almost 16 as well. So Banana Cabana have a little bit of a window to try to push 2ARC back, maybe get a turn in, but it's slight. And 2ARC realize this. They're sitting in lane as much as they possibly can without giving up those turn in points. They're taking out some of the minions. They're working their way toward getting a talent lead ahead of Banana Cabana.
Banana Cabana looking for ways to turn in. They are going to start channeling here. Wrath and Prey both holding quite a few gems. Chubsy is going to go in and try to stop them. He will be able to scare them away. Like you said, the psychology of this game does start to play into this here, because Banana Cabana really doesn't want to lose those gems that they've been so jealously hiding and protecting so far.
You'll notice Panucci started to turn in and then stopped, allowing his teammates to go take out the Bruisers. This is because the minute you get the turn in that you need, all of the mercenary camps disappear. So a really great job of realizing that they have the time needed, that they don't need to turn in just right away. This is a lot of times, sometimes newer players to Heroes of the Storm will make, is thinking that you have to immediately go to map objectives and not realizing when you can press your advantage just a little bit more, when you can be a little bit more patient on that. And now it's paid off, as they are going to be able to catch Muradin momentarily. They have to use the Divine Shield to get him out, and that is a great play from 2ARC, getting them to waste that Divine Shield.
There's that Phoenix also zoning 2ARC out, trying to give Banana Cabana some space to regroup. They are going to reposition around these Bruisers and the Web Weaver. They've got to get through so many bodies in order to start affecting 2ARC.
Yeah, and there goes the Starfall. It's going to start slowing down Prey, who is very, very low. Strafe's going to come in. Prey gets away, but Wrath might not be so lucky and will go down. An Ancestral Heal will make sure that Suki survives all of the onslaught, trying to stop that Strafe. And now 2ARC have picked up 16 talents. They've got so much damage going down on that keep. They will be able to pick it up, and that means catapults will be pushing for them. And it looks like they might even rotate down to this next keep, as, hello, the minions have just reached it as well.
Yeah, there's a Web Weaver there too. Sylvanas actually went up to the top to deal with that Web Weaver, knowing that she couldn't do much to help defend the keep that was already going down. We do see the Phoenix try to zone the Web Weaver and minions, which is a great decision, but that means 2ARC is out in front, ready to fight. They will take down that tower as well.
Poor Kael'thas got caught in that numbing blast from Jaina's Cone of Cold that she took at 16 and instantly got rooted right in front of all of the members of 2ARC. And now we're going to see them heading straight for that boss. This is a huge push. Their opponents do not have the same talents that they have. They're back in their base defending, and if they can pick this up, they'll definitely end up getting that last keep as well. Most likely. It does have towers in front of it. but Banana Cabana are not even going to try to stop this engagement. They're going to go after their bruisers, which will be at least a little bit of a pushback. But I'm surprised they didn't, I guess they really didn't want to even try for a turn in there. It would have been nice to get rid of some of those gems. 97 now on them.
I'm really surprised that they didn't just make a beeline for that bottom turn in, because they had to know that they had at least a few seconds, and that's the kind of risky decision that they need to be making right now in order to gain foothold in this game. The bruisers are going to help them, but only a little bit. They're only going to just take some of the pressure off that mid lane while they go deal with what's happening now in the top lane, which is the boss. They would have had to deal with that already, but if they could have made 2ARC have to deal with web weavers as well, they could have had less of a push going on.
Yeah, exactly right. Condemn's going to pull in so many members straight into the strafe and the Starfall as well. Wrath getting very, very low. The Divine Shield is down, and so is Nubarak. So now there is a 5v4 in favor of 2ARC, and Johanna takes a lot of damage. Going to have to get out of there, but a great Lunar Flare ensures that Sylvanas is going nowhere as Poochie comes right back in with the Condemn, and now Wrath, poor Wrath, is rooted as well. Vala does fall, so now there is at least a little less damage coming in toward this core, but I don't know if it's enough. It might be. I think they're going to be able to push 2ARC away.
I think 2ARC had committed very heavily to that, and that's why we saw Vala standing there still allowing herself to take damage. And then they kind of realized, wait, the boss doesn't have enough health to really make a difference here. We're going to have to change our strategy. They went ahead and backed off. They're going to do some turning in, but they don't have enough gems to make a huge difference. They're just going to offload them so that they can't be lost, which is not a bad idea now, since there are not any other objectives that they could press right now if they are not willing to press up against the wall or in the base of Banana Cabana.
Yeah, they really, the only thing left is the Siege Giants, and it's so far away from the turn-ins that I think they are way more concerned with just continually denying the turn-ins from their opponents. We're kind of in the same place we were before, right? Where they're very close to a talent disadvantage, and 2ARC are going to once again try to stop the turn-ins. So they're going to be laning as much as possible, watching the turn-in zones, trying to get where they are a talent tier up ahead, and then we'll see Banana Cabana having to turn around and go back home. This time they already have to do that because they're going back to try to defend the base, and they've got catapults moving in, so they have to kind of remember to do that, or else the catapults will push in all the way to the core.
Hope is holding 55 gems in his little fingers, and that's all that Banana Cabana needs in order to get web weavers. They really need to find the opportunity to turn in.
He's going for it. He's going straight up to the top turn-in, but Tyranda's going to see it. Fury Steed is going to throw out an owl. It looks like Hope already running away, even though the owl didn't go into the turn-in point. They are so nervous. Their opponents are nearly 20. They're going to pick up those Storm Tier talents, and I think we might see Hope slipping away from Banana Cabana.
It's funny because his name is Hope.
But also sad.
Yeah. All right. Well, we do see those level 20 talents coming out for 2ARC, like you said. We're going to have Storm Shield from Tyrande, 2 bolts, as well as the Indestructible on Johanna. That's one of my favorites, and we're going to have, again, a Storm Shield as well on Rhaegar. So 2 Storm Shields, 2 bolts, and an Indestructible, which basically means, haha, Johanna's not dead.
Well, that is so much sustainability, but so much respect, I think, for the amount of damage that Kael'thas can do with a single Flame Strike now that he's picked up Ignite, which we just saw. It dealt a ton of damage to Traitor Suki and Furious D, so totally understandable there why they would still respect that. Kael'thas at this point can still turn the game around. They really want to make sure that they don't overcommit, they don't overestimate their victory, which looks pretty sound at this point. They really just need to keep the lanes pushed up. They need to try to get a turn-in or maybe a boss, and then from there they can push in, try to get a couple of takedowns, and then win the game from there.
Well, as we always say, victory isn't certain until the core is dead. However, what you are saying is so true, Gilly, because there are 6 forts still up for 2ARC. They have not had a single fort taken down, and their structures are still very much alive. They even have turrets on most of these. In fact, all of these lanes, only 1 turret missing from the mid lane. So they certainly would have a long way to go, Banana Cabana, if they did manage to gain foothold and kind of push themselves forward with a turn-in.
Yeah, we've got bruisers for both sides. Suki actually, it's weird that 2ARC could actually pre-taken down the bruisers so they could just go in at any point, but it's kind of cool knowing that the bruisers would disappear, and that way they can just go ahead and pick them up and still have them even after the web weavers spawn. So they're going to have to deal with the red web weavers, and the boss should be about up once they've dealt with this web weaver phase. But 2Arc's window is kind of closing a little bit. I mean, their window where they're at least up a talent tier, as we've almost got Banana Cabana to level 20. So good job at stalling out from Banana Cabana. Unfortunately, they're going to constantly have to consider their base and watch out for those catapults, as they will continually push versus them.
Yeah, this is that late game composition we talked about, and the whole name of the game with that is not letting yourself get into a position where you can't come back from it when you know you're going to be powerful. So that moment is now. They are level 20. They are going to be equal talent tiers for the rest of the game with 2Arc. They do hold 60 gems as well, so they could potentially get a second web weaver wave here if they manage to hold this top turn-in.
Yeah, those web weavers didn't do very much, but if they could get a second, then maybe they could start to get up, caught back up to some of the structures from 2Arc. But at some point, they're going to have to win a team fight, and then from there, they might not be able to win the game. They're going to have to win a couple handily and then be able to push in from there. The one nice thing they have is if they can do that, they do have Sylvanas, so they'll be able to push very quickly. But it looks like their luck has run out, as we are going to have blue web weavers for 2Arc. 2Arc maybe looking like they wanted to get that boss, but instead they really just want to win the game off of these web weavers. They're starting to push the lanes back. They're starting to get these minions very close to the core where they can start doing a ton of damage.
We're seeing them line up, and we're actually having Suki going around looking for potentially a flank. Gonna clean up that bottom lane. Surprised that we're not seeing them grouped up yet, but it looks like they will be soon. As soon as the web weavers arrive, that's when the push really begins. We should see 2Arc and Banana Cabana in a final engagement if 2Arc is to have the core.
Yeah, and 2Arc are starting to move in. Some stuns go down from the Blessed Shield, and already Divine Shield has to go down on Uther to get him out of the fight. But Jaina's taken a bunch of damage, had to bolt out of there, did get the Ancestral Healing. And now multiple members were standing underneath the Phoenix, but we're not going to be taken down. Whereas Uther is down, at least momentarily. He did pick up Redemption. He will be back in a bit, but it looks like it was enough for 2Arc to be able to take out the core. So, poor Uther.
Look at those catapults. Did you see that? There's like there's a huge line of catapults around the core. And I was looking at that thinking, oh, you know, 2Arc's got to be careful. But no, they actually don't. They just have a
they
massive...
just have to distract.
Yeah, they just have to distract the rest of Banana Cabana from taking down the massive army that they've built up behind them. So props to 2Arc, very well played.
The army of Winions, if you will. Yeah, that was a great play. A very good patient play too. There was a moment where they could go up to the core and try to attack it, and instead they bided their time. They went back. They were okay with their opponents getting up to 20 because they still had all of their structures up. And so they did a great job of pushing the lanes once they did get the web weavers in their favor, and then from there they could just kind of distract, and it definitely worked. The master plan was succeeded.
Yeah, I think that we also saw Johanna really just YOLOing all over the place. And that kind of was a determining factor and kind of distracted, as you said, Banana Cabana. And I would say that that's why we often see her get banned, because she's just so annoying, her ability to stay alive and be in that front line. So we'll see if maybe I might call a Johanna either deny or pick later.
That's definitely a possibility. We can rename her YOLOHANA if you would like.
I would like, Gilly. You know exactly what I like.
All right, well, guys, YOLOHANA, it's been decided. And while we get Blizzard to maybe change her name on the website, because I think that sounds about right, we'll take a little bit of a break, and when we come back, we'll have Game 2 between 2Arc and Banana Cabana.